So thanks everybody for being here. My name is Sally Cox. I'm joined here today with two of my Adobe colleagues, Carlos and Pariah, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Let me just switch to my second slide here. So I'm going to ask them to unmute and take a minute and talk about yourself. So Carlos, why don't you go first, my friend?
Hi, how are you? My name is Carlos. I'm from Costa Rica. I I I am a Adobe trainer here in my country. I take care of present of the new stuff, Adobe stuff in Central America. It's a pleasure to me be here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pariah Burke. As the slide tells you, I'm located in the greater Boston area, although I've lived all over the country. I'm a book author with several books on Adobe products and digital publishing, print publishing, graphics workflow, and I'm self-employed, and Evernote is a very important tool to my work.
So notice in the bottom left-hand corner, everybody, there's a links and resources pod, and you can find out information about us, our websites, our Twitter handles, and just a little bit more information about us. So feel free to jot any of that down. I'm going to post the recording for this webinar on my website, creatable.com, and I'm assuming my colleagues will, at the end, I'm going to let them share more information about anything they have going on, and you can find the recording for today's webinar on my website and share it with anyone you want. We would love that. So I'm just going to get started with just a couple brief slides. I know my limitations. I do not use this nearly as intensely as my colleagues do. So I'm just going to share a few slides with you, and then I'm going to turn things over to them because I brought in the big guns for this. They are using it to a more turbo level than I am. So let's get started. So first of all, these are some of the different applications that Evernote makes. I'm just going to share this screen with you and give you a little just a little snippet about each one of them there on screen, but you can find out more information by going to Evernote's website, and my colleagues will be able to talk about the ones that they use once I turn the mic over to them. So I will share these slides with everybody. I'll post them here so that you can download them before we finish. So these are just some of the tips that for people who are using Evernote. It's a good idea to tag them and organize your notes into notebooks, and we'll get into more about that in just a minute. You can encrypt text and make it secure so that if you're sharing notes across different devices and you've got credit card numbers or something like that, you can encrypt it. You can add snapshots, graphics to your Evernotes. Make sure you write good titles so that you have faster searches. There's nothing worse than having Untitled 1, Untitled 2, Untitled 3. So you definitely want to write good titles so that you can easily get through your notes. You can save your searches. So a lot of that will just make you much more efficient if you save good titles. And if you're using the mobile apps, you can record audio notes with them as well. So just a couple of the terms that we're going to be using. You need to have an account. There is a free and a business account. I think Carlos is going to probably speak to that, or Pariah, maybe both of them. A note is just simply that. It's a note that you take out. When I attend meetings, I take notes. If you organize them in different notebooks, you can have notebooks for different clients and so forth. Syncing is done automatically. I'm a Mac user primarily, and so on my iPhone and my iPad, I have the Evernote app, and it automatically syncs. If I add it at my computer or I add a note on my iPad, it's automatically synced up with all of my devices, which is really cool. I don't have to do anything. It just does that automatically. And I've just got some information here about just the steps that you take when you're getting started. You install the Evernote app on your mobile devices. You create an account. You start adding your notes. You can format them. There's a little bit of information there about the format bar. You can add checkboxes if you want to. You can add tables. You can attach files. So if you want to add a graphic to one of your notes, you can. So I'm just going to turn things over now. Let's start with Pariah. You want to go first? And I'm going to pull a SharePod up for you so that you can share your screen.
Sure. Okay.
And I'm going to mute.
Sorry, folks. Little bit of
So while screen set up, let me just put Pariah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Let me just put this up here. Could you guys answer this poll question, please? Are you using Evernote now? Okay, so we have a lot of people who haven't answered the question. Could you just, guys, just take a second and answer that for us? Pariah, I'm not seeing your screen yet.
Oh.
Carlos, are you? Maybe it's on my end. There we go. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, I'm going to...
Try to choosing what monitor.
That's right. Okay, I'm going to mute now, Pariah. It's all yours.
Thank you. For you folks at home, I would like to say, please bear with us if we have some technical difficulties. Between Sally, Carlos, and myself, we're sharing 3 different computers, 3 different iPads, all of our phones. So you're going to see a number of different devices, and there might be a little bit of lag and some hiccups in here. So I apologize if it's a little slow. This is my Evernote. So hopefully you're looking at my desktop Evernote. I'm using Windows for this demonstration because, well, Sally's using Mac and I wanted to represent the Windows users. You'll also see, between us, you'll see an iPhone used, you'll see iPads, you'll see an Android phone, you'll see Mac and Windows. So here's my Windows Evernote. And I've been using Evernote for about 2 years now, and I only really got into it this past year, 2013, for everything. Here's one of my projects, which is a broadcast show called Design Your Own Business, or DYOB for short, which featured Sally as the guest on the first show. And here are some notes that I've put together for my upcoming shows. So my March show, which is episode 3, season 1, is about women's issues, women in small business and freelancing. And I've created a checkbox list here of the guests that I invited and will hopefully appear on the show. And I can enter a bunch of different notes here. I can put in bulleted lists or numbered or check marks. And you can combine bullets with check marks so you can check off items as you do them, which I find extremely convenient. Even though I use, I have a separate to-do app that I use called Wunderlist, W-U-N-D-E-R-L-I-S-T. I use that for just my general to-do, but having a to-do list right in Evernote is very useful because now I know I've invited these women here to appear on the show, and I've heard back from everyone except Margaret Normancini. Now, I also use this for my research. I have a separate folder where I place links or clips from articles that fit into the theme of my show, which is creative professional freelancing and small business ownership. So I can collect all of my research in one place, and it's right here. I can also archive every article that I find online that I think is very interesting or I would like to have access to in the future. So practical math shortcuts for everyday life. This is something I actually wanted to have for my daughter, who's 14, and having access to some formulas, math formulas, is very useful for a high schooler. And you can save a virtually unlimited number of articles, and you can organize them however you like. I have folders here for, over on the left here, software and computer info, which is where I keep tips for tweaking and fixing Android problems because I have an Android phone, and several tablets because I teach e-publishing, so I have to have all of the devices. And a folder for where I keep information about troubleshooting iOS. You can see that there are very few items here because, well, not a lot has to be done to troubleshoot my iPad. And then Mac and Windows, and Google Apps productivity like Gmail and so on. And I just keep in here everything I might want to have later on. Now, one of the really useful features of Evernote, and the fact, the reason I have this articles archive is because when I go to Google and I do a search on, let's say, e-publishing, we'll take a moment. Here's all the lists that Google gives me, and then it also searches through the Evernote connector, the web clipper. It searches my Evernote items. So I have a folder in Evernote for e-publishing research, stats and figures and examples, because I've written books and I continue to write heavily about digital publishing and iPad publishing and so on. So when I search Google for something, it tells me what's in my Evernote library, which is really nice. It'll tell, because I can go, oh, I already have this information. I don't need to find it someplace else. And that gets added with the web clipper. Now, I'd like to show you, now, this is how it looks on my desktop and my desktop and on my laptops. This is what Evernote looks like there. And it looks pretty much the same between my Windows and Mac computers. And I see a question in there I'll get to in just a few minutes. But I'd like to show you what it looks like on my iPad. Hopefully everybody can now see my iPad screen, which apparently went blank. Oh, there we are. Okay. So, here are my Evernote projects, or here are my Evernote notebooks in the iPad interface. And the ones with a white band are groups of notebooks. So for example, my projects has these sub-notebooks. The ones without are just single notebooks, like my articles archive here. And it can show me my articles as little thumbnails, or I can show them as tiles with excerpts, and I can even sort by date or the month and year in which they were saved. Over on the left here, this little star tab, and I'm not running iOS 7 by the way, so it still has a little bit of that skeuomorphic look to it. Here are my shortcuts to get me to my favorites. So here's my Evernote use and tips folder. I just save a bunch of interesting usage information, tips that I see online for how to use Evernote. Now, Evernote is, oh, and then if I want to create a note, I just tap this icon or new notebook. I create a new notebook here. Or I can pull down the tab and it shows me my recently used things, recent notes, and then I have these little buttons on the left, a new note, a new picture, or a new page capture. I can use the iPad's camera to capture a printed page into Evernote, and then Evernote's optical character recognition will then automatically make that picture searchable, which is really cool. And it's a pretty good OCR. I've worked for years with different OCR programs with Acrobat and so on, and Evernote is really top-notch. Now, all of this, everything I do on all platforms syncs to the Evernote in the cloud, which you can use through the web, through a web browser if you don't have a platform on mobile on which it'll work. Oops. So let me move the iPad out of the way. And if I go to Evernote in my browser, I get a similar user interface as the desktop. Now there are additional apps. One of the things that Sally alluded to at the beginning, oh, actually I shouldn't close that, was that Evernote is not a standalone application. there are so many more tools that you can get with it, and I'm not quite sure how to access those there, so I'm just going to move my iPad back into view. One of my favorites is an app which is on all platforms called Sketch. Sketch lets you take pictures and then annotate them. So when I moved into my new house, we took pictures of all of the windows and all the doors and measured them. And hopefully the screen will update soon so you can see. Yep, there we go. And then I took my iPad to Home Depot and Bed Bath & Beyond and all these other places looking for whatever hardware we needed, and curtains and drapes and all that stuff. And we had the information right there. And you can just draw arrows and enter text. Right on these pictures. And they automatically get saved to your Evernote account. Which is, for me, an extremely handy thing to have. I can also take pictures of artwork and other things that I see and save notes about those. One thing that the iPad Evernote version doesn't have is the ability to move notes from one notebook to another, which is, in my opinion, one of the most important features. So I found this extra app called Move Ever free, and it allows you to simply move notes from one notebook to another, which apparently it logged me out of. But it would list all of my notes and all my notebooks, and I could then just drag and drop them. Now, Carlos is going to show you Penultimate, which is really cool. I want to show you an alternative to Penultimate, the Moleskine note-taking app. I just got back from a week of meetings, week of intense meetings, and I was constantly taking notes in this app. And it allows you to do a lot of different things. You can draw in it. You've got different colors that you can use. It has a few different tools like a highlighter, a paintbrush. And it's nice for quick sketches and drawing. There's also a pen that allows me to take notes in my own handwriting. I should probably make that something more visible. Or I could type notes. Now, the reason I bring this up is it's a free app. Used to be a $20 app. They just recently made it free. And it gives you the ability to export your notes to Evernote, where they go in as an image. So I'm going to export this note, horrible as it looks, to Evernote, and I can pick my notebook or folder for it, and I have an inbox here. So I'll click that, and I will choose to export just the right page, because the left page is simply the book cover. And then if I switch back to Evernote, you can see it just came in. And there is the note I created in Moleskine. And now that note is available on every system that I use, every platform. It's on my Macs, it's on my Windows machine, it's on my iOS devices, my Android devices, my Kindle Fire. Again, I teach e-publishing, so I have to have all the devices. And if I had a Windows laptop, if I felt it was relevant to digital publishing, then I would put it there. I would have it there. So let me exit out of this, and I want to show you two other things. Get that out of the way. Now, anybody in the audience have a Samsung phone? Okay. I have a Samsung Galaxy S4. Unfortunately, I spent 2 hours trying to figure out how to connect it to my computer like I connected the iPad. The iPad I connect to an app called Reflector, which is really cool. It just puts the iPad on the computer. You can show it. Well, unless you're running Windows 8, which I don't care for, you can't connect your Samsung phone or any Samsung mobile device to Windows. So unfortunately, I have to use an outside camera, so the quality is a little bit fuzzy. But here is Evernote running on my Samsung Galaxy S4. Here's the main interface. And these buttons let me quickly add a note, or add a picture, or add an audio note, which is incredibly useful, or attach a file. So if I've taken a picture with the phone's camera, or I've gotten a file through email or Dropbox or whatever, I can attach it right through here. And that's another thing. You can attach files to Evernote, and it doesn't have to be just notes. You can put PDFs in there. You can put Excel files and Word documents and all sorts of other stuff, which is just great. Then it also gives me my basic stats here. So I have 1,237 notes spread across 39 notebooks and 57 tags, which I don't personally care that much about. I just use it for information storage. Oops. And it usually automatically syncs, but I've turned some of that off just so that the phone wasn't going crazy while broadcasting for you. So the new note that I created in Moleskine will show up soon in this list. But here's the list. Here's my show notes from DYOB, talking about the April show, which is the fifth episode. I can also set a reminder, which I don't use. I use Google Calendar for that because that syncs across everything I own. And there's, this ability. I also have the ability to have multiple sign-ins if I wanted. Being self-employed, I only have the one account. It's a premium account, but I only have the one account. Some people have a personal Evernote account. Some people have a team account or a work account. You can have multiple sign-ins too. And then here it tells me my usage. You have the ability with a premium account to upload 1 gig of data per month. I've used 18 megs out of that 1 gig so far in half a month. But this is what I love most, and I really wish you could see this more clearly. Give me just a moment, maybe I can adjust this. Okay, so down here, toward the bottom here, this green bar is a widget, and this is one of the things. This is the reason I have an Android phone as opposed to an iPhone. It gives me widgets. I can do things before launching an app. I can do things right from the home screen. I can get information. For example, this is my main home screen. Here's my calendar. Here's the weather. Here's the time. Here's everything I need to see at a glance. And then where it says no cards, it would give me the latest Bruins scores. But I turned that off because it's really embarrassing how lousy the Bruins are doing this season. So this little bar here is my Evernote bar. So without even launching Evernote, which I'd have to tap the apps drawer here and scroll through it to find Evernote, a lot of times I don't have time for that, particularly if I'm driving and I get an idea and I just want to get it into my notes. So I flip to this screen, and here's my toolbar, and I just tap an item on it. I tap the audio. I tap the audio map, and I turned off the syncing, so it says it can't reach Google, which is taking care of the audio. Anyway, what would happen is I could dictate an audio note, and it would turn that into text for me. Or I can just quickly type a new note here, done, and I'm back to the screen, and that information is saved and stored, and it's put up in the cloud for me. So now it's on all of my devices instantly. I can do page scanning with that button right there, and I can even configure it to have additional tools. So there's a whole lot more than what I have on the bar. There's the page cameras, the audio note, there's set up a quick reminder, which again I don't use. There's Sketch, which you can do on mobile, which is just as useful on a phone as it does on an iPad, a speech-to-text note, and so on. And then you just customize what you want on the bar. So I'm going to try this one more time. text-to-speech note, period. Oh, this is working much better now. Excellent! Exclamation point. So there it is. There's an audio note. Instantly, I can speak to this in my car while I'm driving and save my thoughts. Oh, and I should have turned it off because it's transcribing that too. So this is one of the main reasons I have an Android phone instead of an iPhone. You give me widgets on an iPhone, you let me one tap make a note to Evernote on an iPhone, and I'll probably switch. But until then, I'm going to keep an Android phone and an iPad. And I just love Evernote. I'm not an Evernote employee. I'm not trying to sell you Evernote. Neither is Sally, neither is Carlos. We're just fans of this product and what it can do for us. It keeps us organized. And I just think it's fantastic. So, any questions on what I cover before I turn this over to Carlos? I see Danielle says...
I think the only excellent job...
That Danielle says,
sorry, Pariah,
quote, I use audio transcription all the time when I'm driving, which is great. Oh, Web Clipper. Okay, if I can borrow your attention for one more minute. Somebody asked about Web Clipper. So Web Clipper is the ability to save items from the web, from a website. So that's where a lot of my research is coming from. Is I save it directly into Evernote from the web, and hopefully the screen will catch up. There we go. So here's my Safari on iPad, and you can do this with any browser on iPad, really. And let's say I want to save this. This is information I need to have. So I highlighted it. I can choose copy if I want to, but I really don't need to. Along the toolbar, the shortcuts bar at the top here, I've used the Evernote. It's actually the JavaScript bookmarklet for web clipping because mobile Safari doesn't allow plugins. I'll tap the Evernote button. Hopefully I'm still logged in. Yep. And then it tells me it's been clipped, title of the page, the notebook, and I can choose a different notebook. So if I want to put that in e-publishing, and then it gives me a preview of the text that it will clip on the bottom right here, and I can add additional text if I want to. So I'll just save things there, and I hit done. And now it's clipped to my Evernote. So I can keep going about my work without having to switch apps, without having to highlight, copy, switch apps, create a new note, paste it, which I'm not going to waste your time doing, but I'd have to paste it, then name it, and then I'd have to go back to Safari, copy the URL, come back to Evernote, paste the URL just so I know where the quote came from, and I could, provide attribution to the website, the right way. So the Web Clipper is very, very useful. They have it for desktop and mobile Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Opera, desktop Safari. Mobile Safari, you have to use the bookmarklet. And if anybody has questions on how to make that happen, because it's kind of a mess with doing bookmarklets on Safari, you're welcome to email me or hit me on Twitter. My Twitter ID is in the bottom left there under links and resources, and I'll be happy to tell you. Any other questions? For me, anyway. Carlos is going to show a whole lot more stuff.
Okay, so questions? Oh, sorry, Carlos. One second. Type any questions that you have, everyone, and let's give Pariah some applause. There's a little icon at the top of the screen with a hand raised. If you click the arrow next to it, you can choose applause. So let's all give Pariah some applause, please. So the little icon at the top of the screen with the hand raised, click the arrow next to it and
I'm
choose
bowing now. I
applause.
can't see me, but I'm
Excellent job,
bowing
Pariah.
much.
Thank you.
Excuse me, folks.
Sorry, Carl. Okay. So Carlos, I'm sorry to cut you off, my friend. Go right ahead. I'm gonna be quiet now. So go right ahead,
Don't worry.
Carlos.
Don't worry. Okay, let me show you some of the ecosystem in on Evernote. You know, Evernote have applications. Let me show you a couple of this. Okay, sorry about my English. And in Costa Rica, actually speaking Spanish, so my English is like rusty. I call it Tarzan English. So let me show you the Evernote application on my iPad here in iOS 7. Let me know if you can see it. Okay. Yes. All right. As you can see, it's a little different. And it take advantage of the new the iOS design. So you can access your notebooks from here. And there's a little notebook I want to show you. This, for example, is a shared notebook. I can share with my colleagues, in this case, with my wife, who's working with me all the time. So I need to share with her a lot of information about our business on certain stuff about bank accounts, homework for the kids, etc., etc. The important thing with Evernote, if you can use a lot of applications. Let me tell you a story. My wife is she's a natural cook. She loves to cook and uh, bake and everything. And one day she asked me about how to take all the recipes uh, and instead of printing it out, put in a computer, put in a tablet to leave it in the kitchen. So I found this application, which is part of the Evernote ecosystem, we call Evernote Food. If you are a premium user of Evernote, you can use a lot of features in these applications. Let me explain one of these. If you need some ideas for your lunch, for example, I think every one of this, every one of us have some difficult sometimes to prepare the lunch. I have no idea how to make this, how to make that. So you can use this application, who of course integrates with Evernote. You can explore recipes. For example, if you want something like salad dressing, you can put the salad dressing in the search. Oops. Oops. Okay. Let me share for that. And the food Evernote looks in the several websites. Uh, and if you like some of these, for example, like looking for citrus salad with poppy seed dressing, I click on that. Okay, here's the recipe. And when you tap the little scissors here in the top left, in the top right corner, you can clip this recipe directly into your Evernote account. So I have a notebook right here who calls recetas varias, in Spanish is recipes. So I can put this recipe in this notebook, and also I can include a tag, for example, oranges, to put in Spanish also, naranjas, ensalada. Okay, and done. So let me show you this notebook, this recipe, excuse me, this note in my Evernote account. So as Pariah said, Evernote synchronized on every device I have. So let me show you the notebook and then the recipe of the salad dressing. As you can see, my recipe is a notebook, Recetas Varias here in Spanish, is shared with my wife, of course. So you can see this here, a lot of recipes. And here's the note I take from the Evernote food, okay, even with pictures, as you can see. If they have videos, let's look for some recipe with videos in my computer. And I use the Evernote clip here in Chrome. This is a recipe from allrecipes.com. Uh, let's see how the Evernote takes care of this. Okay, let's save this in my recipes notebook. Wait a couple of seconds. Oh, now I'm hungry. Oops. Okay, sometimes this happens. I think it's a little. Let me clip just a simplified article. I think that it can take care of the video. Okay. Whoa. Sometimes happen. My Evernote clip web clip crash. Okay. Let's see one video here.
That's
Yeah.
the problems of a live show, folks.
Okay. And my Evernote uh, clip crashed hard. So let's skip this and go to the other Evernote apps. Now, yeah, please forgive me. Ah, look, here's the the breakfast recipe in the simplified. It's a cute as muffin. Okay, I think if you can click here, you are able to see the whole side. Yes, it is. Okay, so imagine when my wife see this, she's going crazy with all the recipes in the web. Sometimes even in Pinterest, they can clip these recipes, or if they have a PDF with the recipes, you can download it here in the iPad. And the important thing here is you can annotate directly in your PDF. So you can highlight, okay? You can put some annotations. Maybe you can take care of this. You can put some notes, okay? And you can save that and you can share it with your colleagues. Let me show you. You can share also via message, via mail. You can open in iBooks. I don't know what do that. You can open an Adobe Reader, of course, and you can send to a different kind of services, and you can even print. Okay, that's live show. Let me close that. Oops. Okay, here we go. have a little crash in here. I also have a premium account with of Evernote, who allowed me to share my notebooks with my wife in this case. Um, did let me this stuff let me share the notebook and allowed her to edit the notebook also. Another application is very useful and I love it and I use a lot, but this is my new iPad, so it's I have no too much notes in here. Let me see why I can share with my reflector application. Oh, here it is. I think they have limited of what you can share via AirPlay with the airtime. Excuse me, with this application. But this application allows you to take notes by hand. Right now, I'm using my Wacom Intuos Creative Stylus for iPad. Of course, I love this. You can take notes. Okay. And of course, these notes you can share with the application, with the Evernote application. So I don't know why they can. Okay, it won't let me share the whole iPad screen with this application. Let, let me jump to the reflector again. Okay. Let me show you one of the notes I take before the show. I have a notebook called Penultimate. So you can take care of the note here as an image. Uh, when you buy the premium account, you allow it to to give a lot of type of papers in Evernote and Penultimate. You can have access to this, for example, this kind of paper. If you like the grid paper, here it is. Okay, but how if this is a magic is this is an image, so you can open it and do some annotations also here. Even if you want to hide some information, you can use this pixelate tool. So you can click in here. For example, if you want to share a photo with your mother-in-law, you can hide it from here. It's so easy. So it's that way you can hide critical information if you don't want to share. Okay, let me discard these changes. For me, Evernote is a lifesaver. Uh, Everything happened in my office is right here. If I take a note from a call for a client, I write it down right here. Let me show you a couple of them. For example, if somebody needs a Creative Cloud licenses, you can share. I write it down here. I share with my wife. My wife take care of that, or vice versa. It's a real time saver. Uh, when you have a premium account, for example, my wife has a regular account, a free account. Uh, I can share my password with her.
I think we might have lost Carlos. So while we're waiting for him to get back on, I think maybe I will just show the business card scan screening now, Pariah.
Sounds good to me. And also, there are a lot of people have been asking for links to apps, and I've provided a few in the chat, but I think what we should do is maybe just compile a list of them and after the show
Yeah,
give
that's
out
a
that
great
list. What do you
idea.
think,
That's a
Sally?
great idea. So let me just I'm starting Reflector on my end. So one moment. Stand by, everyone, please. And we'll hopefully Carlos will be back.
We are experiencing technical difficulties.
You have
Please
the
stand
perfect
by.
voice for that. So while we're waiting, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask, this would be a good time to put them in there. Here comes Carlos. So maybe we'll just I'll let Carlos get back in here. I think he's back. So let's make him a host.
Yeah, Tracy Keenan asked about web clips. So maybe Carlos, you could address web clip.
Welcome back, Carlos. No,
No
no
thank
problem.
you. Sorry, my
Thanks.
Adobe
Welcome
Connect
back.
application crashed miserable. I have to restart my my Chrome account, my Chrome application, web clipper. Okay, let me take.
Okay, so while he's doing that, I'm just going to tell you what we're going to do next. After Carlos is finished, Pariah, what were you going to show, Pariah? The web clipper. Okay, and then when they're finished with their presentations, I'm just going to show you on the iPhone with iOS 7 how you can use the business card scanning. So Carlos, I'm just kind of filling time till you get yours up and running again. Just let me know when you do.
I'm ready.
Sure, Pariah, go for it. And then Carlos, just send me a message in that private chat on the right, Carlos, when you're good to go.
Right.
Thanks.
Okay. So, not that I mean to monopolize the time, but and again, we'll include a list of links to the apps that we're talking about, like Evernote Food and Moleskine and Penultimate and Sketch. We'll include those after the show on a web page, so that everybody can get them. But I also want to point out, and we'll link to this as well, Evernote App Center, which is just appcenter.evernote.com. It lists all of the apps on pretty much every operating system that work with Evernote. So let's say you want to see what's available for your iPhone. I'll click the iPhone link here. And a few of these are authored by Evernote, but the majority of them are third-party applications that just use the Evernote API to hook into it. So, for example, if you don't like taking notes directly in Evernote, there's about 7 billion, maybe 7.5 billion different note-taking apps that hook in with Evernote itself, like Penultimate, which is created by Evernote, and then Moleskine, which is not. That one, that's the one I like, and Carlos likes Penultimate. They just hook into Evernote. There's also Clever Memo and Clever, which I don't know what the difference is. 7 Notes. There's a billion of these things. And then there's to-do lists like Do Productivity, Dolphin Browser, which is an alternative for the Android browser and for Safari. It has the ability to clip to Evernote built in, all that kind of stuff. So you definitely want to go through this list. And some of these are free, some of these are paid, and so on. One of the items here, IFTTT, If This Then That, is a web-based service that I find absolutely essential for my work, which is largely online. And you may not agree, but I'd like to point this out. If This Then That, or IFTTT.com, is a website, a free website that automates all sorts of stuff. For example, If I get a Twitter direct message, I have it configured that it automatically sends it to my phone. So if I don't have a Twitter app open on my phone, or I get it as an SMS message, a text message. So if you direct message me on Twitter, it's usually important or time sensitive, so I want to make sure it goes to my phone. So if this, then that does that for me. And then it also Evernote. It does a whole lot of stuff. Like it can send your calendar appointments into Evernote, or it can send Evernote items that are time sensitive to your calendar. You can save Craigslist postings or archive your Instagram or Foursquare or Twitter or Facebook activity into one or multiple notes in Evernote. And the way it works, and these are just some pre-created recipes that other people have set up, but the way it works is you choose a trigger, new shared note, which I don't want to do. So if I shared a note with somebody, it would then execute this other action. I want to say create a new note. So I'll just click that. And it's not working. Ha! So anyway, so yeah, so there's a bunch of recipes preset around this, and it can automate a lot of things that you might want to do with Evernote. For example, every time I favorite a tweet, I have it saved to an Evernote note for myself, so that I never lose it, even if Twitter goes down, which is kind of rare, but you never know. And then I also wanted to address, I saw a lot of people talking in the chat about, is premium worth it? It depends on your use. I used Evernote for about a year without paying for it, just for the free account. And it was really good. It gave me almost everything that I wanted. Then I had been archiving articles that I liked to PDF on my local computer, which meant that I couldn't access those from the road if I needed them. So I started uploading all those PDFs in batch to Evernote. And for that reason, I needed the 1 gig a month transfer. So that's what prompted me to initially update, but I also got a couple of features like offline notebooks. I can back up everything from Evernote to my local computer, or in my case, my network server, so that if for some reason Evernote ever goes down or Evernote closes its business, which I doubt because they're a multi-million-dollar company now, I'll still have access to my content. But I like that sense of security of not relying entirely on a web service. I can still get to those notebooks, and I can open them in the local Evernote account and then export from there to a different format, PDF or text file, a Word document, or whatever. If you work with other people, Premium gives you the ability to share lots more and have a note history where basically it's a versioning system of notes. So if Sally, Carlos, and I were all three working on a note, every time one of us made a change, it would save a version so we could undo that change later on. And then it gives you more security and better searching ability, which are nice too. Plus, the Premium Evernote account unlocks additional features in Sketch, Penultimate, Evernote Hello, and Evernote Peak, which I'll just mention. I don't use these. I've tried out Evernote Hello. I think Sally's going to go into this, so never mind. I'll leave that. But Clearly makes blog posts and articles easier. It's basically Instapaper for Evernote. And then there's another app called Evernote Peak, which is kind of a study application. It's primarily for iPad or it's primarily for mobile devices. It lets you, it lets you just lift the cover and quickly check something. It's kind of like a flashcard set up for learning, which is very, very popular in colleges. Richard Eggers asks, can Evernote be used for organizing albums on your iPad? You can see it. You can import photos and annotate. Yes, you could. It is an alternative way of doing that. That's an excellent question. In fact, when I'm at meetings, I do that quite a bit. I'll take my handwritten notes, but for data-heavy slides, I'll just take a photograph with my iPad of the screen, and then stick that in my Evernote, so that I have a notebook that just goes, straight down. I'd show it to you, but I'm under non-disclosure agreements for everybody, so I can't show you any of my meeting notes. But yeah, you could organize your photos. I know of some photographers that are using it. some of the apps that are in, is it the market here? Some of the apps are specifically geared, that work with Evernote, are specifically geared to, anyway, I forget the address, specifically geared for organizing photos and to make things easier for photo workflow. Your iPad, Tracy Keenan, your iPad is old, can do the photography, send it to Evernote with your iPhone. I think so. Yeah, I think most of those apps also run on, is it App Center? Yes. Let's see what we got. I like how they've organized App Center. And again, I don't work for Evernote. I have no vested interest in you using it. It's just, I like how they've done this a lot. And I hope that other companies that have APIs follow this kind of an example. So let's go to the collections and see if they have one for photography. No. But maybe lifestyle. All right, you know what? We'll just search. Try photos. Ah, here we go. Clever Snap. Clever Snap is a camera app for uploading your beautiful photos to Evernote very easily. Supported basic camera features, great photo editor, multiple accounts, highlights, select notebook and tags, and so on. And it's for the iPhone and iPad. You know, so something like that. I'm sure there are alternatives too in here because there are just so many apps that work with Evernote. So yeah, I would try that. I think Carlos is really going to show the web clipping. So any other questions for me on what I've shown? Okay. All right. Well, again, thanks for listening to me. And Carlos, just stop sharing my screen here and send it over to you. And now to you, Carlos, in Costa Rica.
Thank you. Thank you, Pariah. Good. 85 degrees, sunny, blue sky. Couple of beers. Beautiful. Let me show you two more things about Evernote food. If you want to go out, and you can find some restaurants here with the application. So if you click on the restaurant, click, you can find nearby all the restaurants listed by Foursquare. So let me show you the size of my country, in case if you don't know where I am right now. This tiny little piece of land is my country. So if I want to eat some pizza, let me show you. It's Gino's, it's the best pizza here in my neighborhood. And you can click the clip. You can open in maps for directions. In my country, maps doesn't work, so I can show you right now. But I click on the little scissor in the top of the path. I click this restaurant in my Evernote account. Okay, that's important if you want to go out. If you're a chef, here's your cookbook. This is my wife's cookbook with everything we clip about these 3 years. We using Evernote since 3 years ago. And let me show you the web clipping in the desktop application. So let me turn off my reflector application. One important thing about Evernote Market, if you can buy a lot of stuff compatible with Evernote. For example, you can um, you can buy some scanners. You can buy notebooks from Moleskine. Even if you buy some Moleskine books, you have access to the premium account. Let me show you where it is. Every Moleskine notebook include 3 months of Evernote Premium. Okay, for you if you wanna buy this. How to how to use the web clipping here in my desktop. So when you log in into Evernote, you have access to clip to Evernote. You click the little elephant icon right here, and you can clip the full page if you want. You can see my computer crash after I tried to to clip all the video and all the page. You can clip the bookmark of the page. It is really useful. You can choose the notebook. Let me put this on my personal notebook. You can add a tag, several tags. You can add a comments, etc. When you save, this clipping move to my Evernote account. Let me show you. In a couple of seconds. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Okay, there it is. And you can have access by this little widget right here in the top in on Macintosh in the top of the screen. You can take notes from here. You can clip the full screen and save to Evernote directly. When you take a snapshot of your computer here in Mac in Apple, for example, like I want to take a snapshot of this, so Shift Command 3 takes a oops, it goes to Dropbox, run application. Okay, you can clip a rectangle of a window. Let me example this piece of the screen and save to Evernote. You can also take notes, audio notes from here, as Pariah shared with you. Here's my Evernote jumping around. Let me sync my account. Okay, please don't crash, please don't crash. Here's my personal notebook. Here's the little piece of a screenshot. Here's the Genos clip I do with the Evernote foot. Here's the complete screenshot. Okay, and it's very useful. From this, you can have access also to the market directly. This is the desktop applications. And you can buy things exactly like if you do in your web browser. Also, Evernote take care of your location. So if you take notes in different parts of the world, you can see where you take these notes. If you want to see those notes, for example, a note from 2012 from Adobe, double click, and this is the note. This is very useful for me. I want to take care of notes I taken Ecuador, for example. Oops. In the middle of the ocean is not Ecuador. Let me. There is. Okay. Here's the note. You can set your note as reminders to connect directly with your calendar. And you can use, for example, Evernote to make a little presentation. Okay, let me show you. It's a full screen presentation here directly in Evernote. Not PowerPoint has been used to do that. All right. I think that's it. If you have any questions, let me unshare my screen. Sally, your audience now.
Great job, Carlos. Pariah, did you want to show Web Clipper?
I
Okay.
think Carlos
All
did a
right.
pretty good job of that. Anybody have any questions on web clipping?
Maybe you
Okay,
can
I
show
was just
on Windows device.
yes, you can if you want to. I was just going to show quickly the business card scanning right from within the Evernote app. Give me just a second to pull up my AirPlay. Second. Okay, so let me share my screen. So hopefully you guys can see my screen. So I was just going to show, I'm not the turbo user that these two are, but I was just going to show a couple of the things that I use. I am a visual person and I like to add graphics. So I like to show the add a graphic. So you can actually, inside your note, there's a little attachment, a little paperclip icon, and you can attach a graphic. So, you know, I had a meeting with my community manager at Adobe, so I add the Adobe logo. This is a love poem that I like and so forth. So you can add little icons in here. This was a meeting that I had with a friend over coffee, so I put the coffee cup. And that's just by using, inside the note, using the attachment tool. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was the ability to scan business cards. So I just did this one while Carlos was talking. Not that I wasn't listening to you, Carlos. I just used the app on my iPhone. I use the camera app right within Evernote, and I scanned this business card in. Now you can see the horrendous. Sorry, P&M Taylor, but your kerning is awful. So you can see the word Taylor. The A and the I have a lot of space in there, so it came in with a T-A and then capital Y-L-O-R, so I had to actually fix that. But you can scan in the business card, and it gives you an icon of the business card, and then you can edit the information. So I already edited the person's name and title, but then I can add, it does its best to try to use the optical character recognition to scan the info, but you can go in then and add more. You can add a note, maybe how you met that person, or, you know, what services they have that you like. So you can add all of this, and then you can store this directly within your Evernote app as a note. So you can see that it's listed here as a note. That's all. I just wanted to show those are the things that I do, because being a visual person, and with all those business cards, I don't want to keep all those in a stack on my desk. I can actually use them within Evernote. So that's all. I just wanted to share that. Pariah, did you have something else you want? Stop my sharing. Give me a second to find my connect window.
Yeah, I think that's all set. I did want to mention that Evernote, the company, makes another app called Evernote Hello, which is it takes the business card scanning and the contact management into a whole. It takes it further into its own dedicated app, and that's, you can find that on the Evernote website or on the App Center as well. And it's just called Evernote Hello. I tried it. I didn't. It doesn't do much for me, but then I'm not looking to track, tons of customer interaction and all that. I just, I don't go to sales shows and such, but it might be very useful for other people. Carlos says he's not a fan of the Hello app either. Maria, I believe so, but don't hold me to that. I think it can sync to your contact list. If not, you can use an if this then that, an ifttt.com recipe, and it will definitely do that. So let me see. Evernote to Google Contacts. Yeah, I'm not saying anything right away, but yeah, you can use ifttt. I'll just put the link in here so that I don't have to say all the T's so many times. If this then .com. Okay.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to show.
Yeah, great
Any other
job,
questions for us?
Pariah and Carlos. I would like to ask everyone to give you guys applause because I just want to throw nobody's getting paid for this. This is just what we do in the Adobe community. We help each other. So could we all just throw some applause out there for my colleagues who have offered up their time today? Pariah,
Thank you, thank you. I'm sorry
your
again
English
for
is fine.
my bad
Your English
English.
is better than a lot of people I know. Your English is
I
better than a
promise
lot
to
of
take some
Americans I
classes.
know, so don't, your English is perfect. Thank you. So, Pariah, would you like to take a minute? I'm going to pull up our
Thank you.
survey questions, but Pariah, do you want to take a minute and talk about your webinars that you're doing? And I'm going to pull up the Notepod, the SharePod, so that we can continue asking questions.
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, I have a new internet talk show called Design Your Own Business, or DYOB. And if you give me just a second, I will type the link into the chat pod. There we go. And it's just a free monthly internet talk show, the first Tuesday of every month, where we focus on topics relevant to self-employed, freelance, or small business owners, with a bit of a slant toward creative pro, but not entirely, not necessarily creative professional. And this first show that we did, January 7th, which is available as a recording on that page or on YouTube. Thank you, Carlos. Featured Sally as one of my guests, and we talked about how to differentiate yourself in how to earn appropriate design rates in a market where there are individuals offering $5 logo design or $10 full website design. Also demystifying some of the questions and fears and myths about Adobe Creative Cloud. And it was a very good show, and each show we talk about different topics. And again, as I said, the March show is all about women in business, women in small business and self-employment, from some incredible self-employed women and business owners. And then this next show, February 4th, the first Tuesday of February, is about how to find clients in, how to find clients in unusual places, and then how to nurture the relationship so that you keep clients coming back to you again and again. And Sally will also be helping me out with that show. I believe she's got a presentation to give on that show. And as you see in the chat, Sally does offer autographs upon request. Doc said, I had to explain to a friend that Adobe CC is not a web-based editing app. That is a common question. really is. There's,
Good for you.
yeah.
We spent all the last year try to explain this to all the people, right?
Yes. Yeah, the Adobe applications live on your computer. The cloud part of Creative Cloud, additional services in addition to Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign and Dreamweaver and Flash and all those other applications that actually run from your computer, not from the internet. These other services, these cloud-based services, are in addition to all that, and they offer file synchronization, commenting on files, the ability to share color profiles and color palettes through Cooler integration, and quite a bit of other cloud-based services, and some really amazing stuff coming up in the near future, like if you've ever heard of them, Project Mighty and Project Napoleon, hardware for mobile design that uses the Adobe Creative Cloud services, and more coming for after that. Again, I'm not an Adobe employee. I'm not an Evernote employee. We're all just self-employed people who find these tools very useful. And honestly, we started talking on Facebook about a week or two ago about just tips amongst ourselves for Evernote. And Sally said, "Hey, let's broadcast it and do a show about it." So here we are.
Yeah, so this is what we do. So if there's anything that you want to know, you can follow us on Twitter. Again, our links and resources is down here in the lower left-hand corner. Send us any information that you have. You have a fairly technical question on video editing. You could send me an email. I'll put my email address in here. And again, thank you to my colleagues. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy morning. Appreciate everybody showing up today. I will post the link for this recording within moments on my website, creatable.com. And feel free to share it with anyone. And I'm going to stop the recording now. And again, Pariah and Carlos, a big hug to you. Thanks so much.